Welcome back. It is Sunday morning. We are live at the Michigan Chiropractic Association's big fall convention, and this is our CHIROTHON. It is one of the most amazing events that I have been a part of, and the best part of this is we're here to celebrate, we're here to elevate, and we're here to educate those that have not seen chiropractic before, those that have been involved in the practice for more than 50 years. I have chiropractors, family, patients. We have all sorts of people joining us on this Sunday morning, so thank you, first and foremost, for making this an amazing chirothon for the MAC organization. And as I promised, we will give you tallies of where we are, because we started this with an adventure of setting a goal at $50,000. And we've had some amazing speakers. Today, I want to give you an update. We are at $13,811. So we're getting there, folks. We're going to make this happen, make those donations come in. How do you do the donations? Very simple. You go to f4cp.org/MAC. For those out there that are Michiganders, we're supporting the drug-free, surgery-free, first-line approach that only chiropractors can give. And that's why this is such an important event. Now, if you're one of the top donators during this vignette sequence, you can go with a posture perfect backpack. And you saw in the very first segment with the American Posture Institute how to wear a backpack. So if you're a parent out there, this backpack will get you started properly. Donations coming in at f4cp.org/MAC. Now, we also are very grateful to our sponsors that make this happen. Today's sponsor, for those chiropractors out there, you will know what this is. This is Breakthrough Coaching that is sponsoring this vignette. It's a chiropractic practice management consulting and multidisciplinary practice, and it's personal coaching. It teaches you about outcome-based, functionality-oriented systems of procedures that really focus on preparing chiropractors to become the primary physician of prevention and wellness services, driving healthcare home today. So we want to send a sincere thank you, Breakthrough Coaching, for sponsoring our vignette today. So what is this vignette all about today? Let me tell you, I have an amazing guest. He's been in the profession for over 40 years. He's just an exciting person to bring this news to you. Our special guest today is Dr. Stephen Simonetti, and his practice is amazing, and he'll tell you more about what that means. He is part of the Michigan he's part of state, national, and international politics for a number of years. He's learned a few things about the public image of chiropractic, and I am sure that that is in fact what we're going to talk about today. He spent his career contemplating and taking action on what it will take to have the world really accept the great chiropractic principles, that the body in fact heals itself. It is really about producing a body that does not have to deal with the interference by optimizing that experience for them. So we have him as the president of the Wellness for All Foundation, which is pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
A nonprofit organization whose purpose is to educate and improve the social development of orphans and the underprivileged children, whose primary focus is the immediate and ongoing formal education and housing of 29 orphans and children in Wanamath, Haiti. And the Wellness for All Foundation also sponsored, this is very exciting, so if you're listening today, what an altruistic man. The Wellness for All Foundation also sponsors an additional 140 children in the neighboring town of Malfatti. Sorry,
Malfatti, close.
Malfatti. I got so close on a Sunday morning. That is the love and the opportunity to talk about chiropractic from a whole different perspective, the global perspective. So thank you so much today for joining us, Dr. Simonetti.
Well, thank you, Shelley. It's truly an honor to be here, and I was so excited by MAC to invite me to their home here. I have a lot of chiropractic brothers and sisters here for many, many years. and it's been a great thing to be part of the program and teaching, and now I get a chance to share my love for chiropractic worldwide. And part of the reason I have this unique perspective is I've been involved, as you mentioned, in chiropractic politics. The Congress of Chiropractic State Associations, or the Chiro Congress, has been a big part of my life. I was on the board for 18 years, but while I was, I think, the vice president, we had something called it was the Identity Consultation. It was 2003 that we got the profession together worldwide to create a survey to see what chiropractors viewed as their practice and what they do on a daily basis, and then to determine what the public image was and to see if they matched. So the quality of your questions always determines the quality of your answers. So just to form that survey, it was a weekend at Life Chiropractic West. It was such a great opportunity, and I really got very involved in it because I wanted to be sure that we get this image to where it should be. Because at best, it was determined, and this is still true to this day, chiropractic is about back pain. And listen, my 3 kids have been checked from birth. We have a family practice. I had a family practice in the Dominican Republic. I have children, and when I remarried, I told my wife, you have 29 more children. They're a little darker skinned. They all get adjusted. Most of them want to be chiropractors. They're translators and they communicate chiropractic. When we do chiropractic missions there with like 80 to 100 students, sometimes 50, from all the chiropractic colleges.
Wow.
And that's Dr. Peter Morgan's Chiro Missions that does that. And I've been affiliated with that. And through that, I formed, with my wife's great guidance and foresight, the Wellness for All Foundation. And there was a big history of that with the earthquake in 2011. I don't want to get into that part, but I want to get into the image of chiropractic, because chiropractic is so different than what most people expect when they come to your office. And it is really the doctor of chiropractor's job to meet them where they're at, and it's usually about pain or discomfort, which is very important that people feel good. But it's, as we know, it's about how your body functions. Your nerve system controls every single cell. It allows cells to replicate, to get rid of toxins. It allows your body to function. It's about performance. So I realized that the image is the same everywhere, because when we go to the DR, and I practiced there for 15 months, I practiced there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I practiced in New York Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I did that for about 2 years. That's how I got introduced to the mission, and they're a drug culture. Just like everywhere in the world is a drug culture. And if you look at it, and again, not to get into the politics, but this happened when certain people in our country threw a lot of money at the pharmaceutical industry because they had all of the raw materials to make drugs. And it could have easily been plant-based. And that's how we got down, and it became an international thing because everybody was following the dollar, right? So, but in the DR in Haiti, it's a little different, because where I go and I say, God bless my hands. Now, if you don't like that, nature heals us. Nature expresses itself through your nervous system to the brain, to every single cell. They say this: where's the table? I'm getting my family. I want everybody getting adjusted, because they're open to a more spiritual understanding of chiropractic. They're not so tuned into all of the media. And listen, we're one of 2 nations, us and New Zealand, where the pharmaceuticals could advertise directly to the consumer. Right? So we have a battle going on.
We do. And that's why I think having your global perspective this morning is so important. But I also want to come back to something very important. As our audience is listening, and we know you've been with us all weekend long, and it's very important that we have your support, whether you're new to chiropractic, whether you're a chiropractor who's been in practice forever. I want to just give a very big thank you to Dr. Simonetti. The Foundation for Chiropractic Progress is 20 years in existence, and we started for one purpose, and that's to increase the utilization of chiropractic so people knew what we did and why it was so very, very much important. Well, Dr. Simonetti actually was in the founding of the foundation, so he has been a strong supporter for 20 years. So thank you so much for your sponsorship and your commitment to this entire profession.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you.
You're very appreciated. Now I want to talk about how, as chiropractors, we go around and we talk to patients and we start to increase awareness, but how do we increase the actual utilization in the United States?
Well, I think there's several different ways. We have to be real clear on our message and what we do. So the new buzzword is wellness, and I think that's going to rise in the community. People really are not, they still take drugs, but they're open more than ever, and especially post-COVID, they're open to more rational approaches to their health. So what I do is I lecture. I do a lot of out-of-office workshops, wellness workshops. And I have a program actually called Getting Chiropractic to the People through the New York Chiropractic Council. We created this. And it's how to present workshops and as a focal point, have a singular cohesive message about what chiropractic is. And it's covering all the other health topics. So I exercise regularly. I know it might not look like it, but I eat right. I do all of these things. So I want my patients to do all of those things. They're important, but at the hub of this wheel is having your nerve system working right. So I think we need to, on a global scale, be the leaders of the wellness movement, but understand that it's really about getting the most of your food, getting the most of your exercise through a well-functioning nerve system, and that's the core. So I think there needs to be organized efforts to have us spread that message. And whether it's doing lecturing or other public service work we do walks, do many different things that promote us as the leaders of the wellness movement.
Well, he couldn't have said it better, and that is exactly why chiropractic is at the forefront. We're really well-being experts. We're talking about nutrition, we're talking about lifestyle changes, and hydration and sleep and exercise and stress management. That's what you do on a regular basis. We just don't promote it like this is the one lecture on stress, because everything evolves around the nervous system. How the brain and the body work together as one unit is the most incredible and miraculous piece. And when you go out into the public and you start talking about these things, this is why we're doing CHIROTHON, and this is why we have such a fabulous guest, is you're not afraid to go out into the public and share the message of good health. We don't have a pill deficiency problem.
Right.
We have an understanding problem. It's educating the public that they're in control of most of what happens in their life by the choices that they make on a regular basis. And so thank you for being a shining star of getting out there and exercising, but also traveling the world. And one of the pieces that I thought was really great is you're positioning chiropractic around the world, in the Dominican Republic, and going out to places like Haiti, and working with orphans and their families and doing these missions, these altruistic missions. How does that impact communities? Because clearly those 29 orphans that your lovely wife has adopted into her heart, that makes a huge difference, because it's not just one thing, it's like all the community coming together and wrapping their arms around it. Share with us some stories and some experiences that made you recognize that the United States is great in moving the message forward, but the rest of the world also has this encumbered wellness approach.
Well, my start with doing mission work was my friend, Dr. Peter Morgan, as I mentioned, dear friend, wanted me to go for many, many years, and I finally went. And I thought it was to be about adjusting myself and reaching into the community, and he was doing it about 4 or 5 times a year. I quickly realized that I was more in a role of teaching students, and they were the adjusters, and I was adjusting the adjusters. But from going 4 or 5 times a year, and this is after the earthquake in 2010, it became Dr. Peter Morgan's focus, because he did missions all over the world, because there were 300,000 orphans in like 20 minutes because all the buildings not built to code in the Capitol and Port-au-Prince went down. The kids were walking home from school, and we set up tents. We had enough energy to find homes for a lot of those children and match them up with parents, but then we brought them back to where we were doing missions, about 29 or so at that time. So we brought into Wanamouth an orphanage that we moved around until my wife and I self-funded, but she works for the Yankees, so I have to give kudos to them. They're not doing too great right now. And we raised money, and then we built an orphanage. But we also, on one of these missions, we had 90 people. 2 of them were my daughters. My son couldn't make it. And after we prayed on a piece of land that the administrator and the father, this fellow Alex, a Haitian guy, who would take a kid in from living under a bridge with a little bit of money he had from his salary, he'd take another kid in, and when we brought these other kids, and he maybe had 6, 7 kids, he quit his job, and we got this piece of land that we traded with the governor because we had another piece. We actually started building, and we were staying in the United Nations. We would adjust all the troops from Uruguay and then Brazil, and we would adjust 400. So we impacted the UN and their understanding of chiropractic. We stayed and bunked with them. And then they'd helped us building this building for an orphanage. Flash forward, I was very upset because we decided to sell that piece of land, but we got a bigger piece out from the chaos of the city, and we prayed on that land, and my daughters did too, and we masterminded at the end of that session. It was a week mission, and we wrote out, and my daughter Amy is a designer, and we called it the Village of Hope. And we decided that we wanted to make some entity that would help Haiti become self-sustainable and give jobs, etc. So flash forward 10 years later, we have this campus. The first building was a big kitchen with a couple of apartments, a big gazebo, which we had an orphanage built there too. That was the next piece. Then we had an auto parts store, because that's what we needed to help. 3 of our kids now can fix motorcycles and do work there. Then with the help of Life University, and I have to give them kudos, and they supported us financially, we formed a birthing center, and that employs 3 midwives, Haitian midwives, where they take in mothers where 1 in 80 moms don't make it past birth, because they give birth outside with no running water, outside their shack. And those changes, if you look at everything, we had a church, all of that was on our Village of Hope, like the secret storyboarding. Yeah. Now we have a church and a school. The only thing is it's up the road in Malfatti. And we have our health center. We thought it would be a chiropractic center, but it filled the need to be a birthing center. We have a sewing center. Our children make their own uniforms. We brought in sewing machines, professional sewing machines. We have a computer learning lab where, again, Life University and Dr. Rob Scott want to offer, or will offer, when our kids qualify, scholarships in psychology and biology. So we have 3 children who just graduated. We're waiting to see if they can get a scholarship and maybe have the first Haitian chiropractor.
Outstanding.
So we have a footprint in Haiti, and that's part of the agreement.
This is where on a Sunday morning, and you're listening and you've taken your time to come to the CHIROTHON, MAC, and listen to the resources, but most importantly, listen to the heart of the matter. Your Village of Hope have touched people endlessly. I mean, when you think about going back to, for example, the United Nations, what was kind of the feeling when you walked in and you started saying, I'm going to be doing chiropractic adjustments for the United Nations, and all of the people that are surrounded that are trying to help rebuild and bring these 29 orphans to a place where they can find love, health care, and an ability to build their future as well?
Well, I kind of felt like a chiropractic pioneer. I kind of felt like some of the chiropractors, and not to that degree, because I could never feel what it would be like to be in jail fighting for something you believe in and having your patients come to get adjusted. But there is such a demand, there's such a need for many things there. But when it comes down to it, your health is number one. And they knew an adjustment helps a person resonate better. They call us the touch healers because they are expecting miracles, which is the other part. And the footprint is, we're also in that birthing center adjusting, or at least evaluating, every baby. And Henry Rosenblum, Dr. Rosenblum works with Dr. Morgan, and they have a program on pediatrics, so we can have our students learn more about pediatrics. We adjust every mother. And when I'm down there, I'm supervising students. They're not necessarily doing the adjusting, but they're learning that. So this thing that's going on in Haiti, I always say chiropractic is an inside-out thing, right? But this is how it may work, Shelley. It might come from the outside in.
Right.
It may come from some country accepting our principle that the body heals itself, and it does it a lot better without subluxation in the spine. I mean, you need to do a lot of other things for your health, but that's that core, the hub of the wheel, and it may come from a country that just says, hey, we accept it. It's like bell bottoms.
Right.
Once enough people were wearing, by the way, I still have some in my closet thinking they might come back.
That's right. It is confirming for those that are out there that may never have tried chiropractic that you're speaking the language that they may not fully appreciate until they get an adjustment. And honestly, if someone came in the tent and you're working United Nations as a mission-driven individual on altruism and helping the community, you need to help yourself. And that's why I thought it was so beautiful that you not only talked about the Haitians, you talked about the orphans, but you talked about the service people that are providing the care and the love. And from the outside in is one piece, and then the inside out is being able to get our message about well-being. And chiropractic is so much more than an adjustment. It is a lifestyle. It is a ability to really connect with someone. And Dr. Simonetti, you've connected with 140 of these students of life that are going to now move into the future to build a better community. More hope. This village of hope is not just in Haiti, it's right here, right now, with all our Michiganders. Yes. And that's why you were brought here today, was to share with our audience why World Chiropractic Care. And we have October as, in fact, the World Chiropractic Awareness Month, which is really beautiful in every way, because we want our message to be big, we want it to be bold. Oftentimes it has to be brave, because you're right, we ended up in jail, some of us in the early 30s and 40s, and patients were going to jail to see if they could get their chiropractor out just to get their adjustment. They were adjusting the prison guards, and that inspires me. And I often ask myself am I that passionate about chiropractic that I would have gone to jail? I ask myself every time I do a lecture, would I have gone to jail for this mission? And I believe you and I would go to jail to share what we know now, especially when you're treating an orphan in Haiti, especially when a United Nations person is putting their life on the line too. These are not easy circumstances to be under. This is an unfortunate event. People are sad, they're sick, they see a lot of grief, and yet they're still giving from their heart. And giving from your heart is what this Chirothon is all about. f4cp.org/MAC. Dr. Simonetti took his time today to be with us. Tell them where you were just at, Dr. Simonetti. You just talked to me about what it's like to travel. Where were you just recently?
I was in Croatia, actually, on a boat and this is the beauty of chiropractic. It gives you so much. You just have to show up with your hands, be able to speak the truth, and that's chiropractic is all about the truth of health and healing. And we had 10 of us, of course, most of us chiropractors and wives, and we just went up and down the Adriatic Sea. And of course, my friend, Dr. Peter Morgan will tell you, if there's a line in my community, especially in Whitestone at a bank, I'm telling the chiropractic story, and I'm getting somebody under care, maybe not in my office, but somewhere, because there's a saying, you go away and do you go on vacation to sharpen the sword so you come back to serve, or do you go away and you forget about what your purpose and your mission is. So chiropractic is a way of life, as you say. It's the way to drive your life, mission-based and purpose-based. And it's kind of hard to hold it under a bushel and only talk about it when it's convenient for you. You know?
Amen. You know, that is one of the biggest pieces of what this weekend is about. This weekend is about sharing the mission. What is the mission? Well, there's millions suffering across America. September is Drug-Free Pain Management Awareness Month. The Michigan people are committed to ensuring the first line approach to healthcare that has surgical, no necessity, or no pills. We want you to try something that is less likely to cause an opioid addiction, because we know that the opioid epidemic is scourging our communities, but it's about health and wellness. And when you bring the world globally to the Michiganders, it makes it real for us. It's the philosophy of life, is living it at its fullest. It's the greatest wealth you can have. And Dr. Simonetti, not only have you shared your finances with the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, you've shared your time and your talents with the rest of the world. So we are blessed to have you on our CHIROTHON MAC, first ever regional CHIROTHON. Having you here and sharing the goodness of what happens around the world has been a true blessing. Thank you very much. And again, having guests like Dr. Simonetti makes it really real. Today is all about the consumer knowing a better choice. Will you help us by donating? We're getting very, very close. We have one more segment left. You cannot miss it. If you have a man in your life, or you are a man right now, keep listening, because we've got men's health. And we know men's health, sometimes it doesn't get the same response, but November for the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress focuses on men's health. We want you to be healthy. We want you to join us back here for another fantastic guest. We want to thank Breakthrough Coaching for being our sponsor for today, and of course our fabulous guest, Dr. Simonetti, for being here straight from Croatia to talk to you about what it means to have chiropractic in your life. We will see you very shortly back with our next guest.